My name is Mona Philip, and I'm a curator of contemporary art. I work at a public gallery. I'm salaried, full-time employee, and what I do basically is to develop and organize, present exhibitions of contemporary art, and also work with the larger team of the institution to develop public programs, educational programs, all based on the exhibition schedule of the institution. With the public gallery, the focus is the public audience. So we really play a role in between the artistic community and the public, and bringing them together, playing a role of mediator and of really helping in getting artists' work known to a broader public, still supporting the development of their work, but also supporting the needs of audiences as they relate to art, and supporting the way that art is accessed by the public, basically, and educating the public about contemporary art. Of course, it depends on the scale of the institution. I do all of this. I do myself. Income tracking, billing, material. Developing budgets for the exhibitions, tracking them. Finding out costs for different kinds of things. But then I do have accounting support, and I'm not actually the one issuing checks and doing all that banking side of things. I'm not the one doing primarily the marketing and promotion and all of that. I work with the head of marketing and communications. So I do have some different kinds of help from different types of staff on the different administrative aspects, but it is a pretty substantial chunk of time. It's about 30%, I would say, is involved in administration and financial management. Well, it's what makes the thing run. It's, if you run the institution into deficit, then you don't have, a very long future to look forward to and, ahead. So you have to keep things in check and functioning, and develop a realistic way of planning exhibitions. You have to understand the scale at which you're able to work given the resources that you have, and also find ways to evolve those resources, to grow them. And if you're lucky, you work with development staff, fundraising staff. If not, you have to do a lot of it on your own. So for instance, I write a lot of grants, which is the other component, the other side of the financial implications. Yeah, it's the kind of double-sided aspect of being an artist or working for in the artistic profession, whether as presenters or creators. In Canada, because on one hand we're fortunate to have these resources available. We have public funding for the arts, but the process is really substantial. It takes a lot of time, and it also makes you think about art in a very different way. It's funny, I've actually been having this conversation recently with someone in the arts, and it was related to a project we were doing, because the project itself was formulated by the artist as he was playing with the form of grant writing in the artwork. And we were having this conversation that actually all art in Canada is conceptual art because of that, because it starts on paper. It starts with the idea that you have to explain to the granting bodies before you actually make the work. So it's an interesting process that is not always the same all over the world. Are there financial advantages? There are other advantages. I wouldn't necessarily call them financial. I mean, I think the arts sector is, known as a pretty financially precarious sector. We're in the non-profit business, so nobody's getting rich, being an arts professional, unless maybe you get to become a star artist and, be Marina Abramovich or somebody like that. But no, for me personally, it's been a struggle. I mean, you always start, the first job you get is not the big institution with the big salary. You have to start really pretty much as a volunteer at first.
Mm-hmm.
And then work your way, through a lot of low-paid jobs, and it's, your salary is always in proportion to the operational budget of the institution you work for, and it's never a big one. Well, it's worth it in other ways. It's worth it because I get to actually do what I love to do. I'm not working to make money. I'm working to do something that I'm invested in emotionally and intellectually, and it's satisfying in that way. So you kind of make that choice. You want to have material, satisfaction, or you want to have intellectual and emotional satisfaction. Yeah, I mean, my situation is different because I work for an institution and we actually have a health benefit package. Maybe not the best in the world, but there's limitations to our coverage, but still it's a really great thing to have. I mean, with artists, we have a contract with each artist that we present, and their copyright is acknowledged. They retain the rights, intellectual property and the rights to their work. We share rights in the publication we produce. We usually produce a publication in conjunction with each exhibition. So we are, we say in the contract that we are co-owners, and there's a copyright note on the publication itself. But if somebody would actually try to, commit fraud, or I don't know what exactly our recourse would be. No, it's the two-sided aspect of being a public gallery. Our clients are both the artists and the public. So we do offer services to the public actually as well by offering the programs that we do. And so we can split between the two. In terms of the artists, it's important to provide a supportive environment, and to really obviously understand the work they do and contribute to their development, and offer the most professional kind of context for their work to be presented, and understanding and developing with them the best way to communicate what they need to communicate to the public. So that's being real collaborators and supporters of the practice. It's the essence of the relationship. And then with audiences, really making the effort to know them, to know who they are, starting with the immediate circles, and kind of going with it, with ripples, concentric circles, wider and wider, and understanding what their needs are, what their interests are, and how we can build on that, and how to provide both what they need and also what they don't know that they need. And be in dialogue. Yeah, does society, what is actually that we're asking for when it comes to art? So yeah, for emerging artists to kind of, ask not only what they want to do, but what is expected of them is important. Because I think there's always when you make art, there's always the desire to show it to somebody else, to make it eventually for somebody else as well, not just for yourself. I mean, I think fundamentally, there has to be a deep respect both for the artists that we work with and for the audiences that we engage. So again, knowing them and respecting what they do and with audiences, what their expectations are and what their participation is. Understanding really our role as mediators, and that we would have no work to do if there weren't for the artists who produce the work, and for the audiences that that are the receptors, and the other part of the conversation. They're partners. Both sides are partners, and it's kind of triangle of partnerships, and everybody has to be respected and equal in that conversation. But there are also legal and basically legal requirements. As a public gallery that receives public funding, we are actually bound by certain policies. And for instance, the City of Toronto has a non-discrimination policy that we have to adhere to, and it's a condition for receiving funds and being able then to spend them on producing what we do. And also institutions may have core values of their own, which is in our case as well. We post them on our website, and they have to do with the cultural identity of the institution, for instance, that I work with, and they support and complement the artistic values, the quality values that we aim for. My main advice is to learn multiple skills and transferable skills. So you'll always be called to do many things in the beginning. You won't find your dream job, or you won't, your career as a professional artist won't take off, at the speed that you'd like it to. So you gotta be prepared to be adaptable and flexible and do other things. And even working in an institution, because arts institutions usually are small and don't really have the different numbers of staff to deal with each aspect of what it means to run it, you'll be called to do, marketing and development and administration and curating and everything in between yourself. And the more you can learn about all these different aspects of running an arts institution or a program, the better for you, the more adaptable you'll be to find jobs. Because there aren't that many. Yeah, it's a limited market. It's good to be able to jump in different roles.